Imagine in the beginning there was just darkness, and then it woke up and we came to light. But I don't think our universe is a black box made out of plastic. I think it is much more flexible. So let's use a different fabric to explain the materia prima. I will use a fabric from a stocking. Our universe. From one black dot, infinite dot, started unraveling itself, started waking up, started stretching like we do in the morning. It was dark, but by stretching and having intention or tension, it started to get lighter. It started coming to light, to life. Now this stretching, this tension, I will call it time, but occupying little space. The fabric of time is flat. So what do we need to give it space? We'll take a sphere, just like our planet Earth, and we'll stretch our materia prima, our universe, around the sphere, applying tension and giving it shape. We now have what I call the blanket of space and time. So we got our planet, our sphere, wrapped in a blanket of our universe, stretched by tension. It is now occupying space and it is in time. But what happens to the rest of this materia prima? Is it hanging off the planet? Is it all around it? Well, I think it is resting inside. Now this fabric, the materia prima, that's wrapped around our planet, the universe, Some might call it the matrix, the net, the space and time blanket. We can't see it. So how do we understand it? I think that since everything is as above, so below, and as within, so without, we can understand something that we can't see by simply observing the physical representation of the same concept. So, how do we understand how this materia prima acts? Well, how about, since we can't see it, we're just not going to use it for now. But we will look at our planet Earth, to understand what is happening in the unseen world. So what happens when our planet stretches? It creates mountains and valleys and deep, deep holes that are then filled with oceans. And those oceans, they run into rivers, they flow into seas. And do you think the same thing can happen to our universe, to the space-time blanket that is wrapped around the Earth? Well, I say that of course it can happen. If we overstretch our space and time, it can rip. When we apply too much tension, it can rip into holes. Let's say this is the tension of time, the arrow of time. If our intentions are too sharp and we put too much pressure on ourselves, we can rip a hole in our space and time. Right there. And these holes, if not patched right away, they will run like rivers, creating more and more damage to our space-time blanket, to our reality. So how do we take it from the inside and bring it outside to patch up holes in our space-time, in our reality, in our matrix? Well, we have to grab a thread from that fabric that's folded inside. And we have to use the arrow, direction, intention, time to take out a thread and patch up our holes. Right? by moving in a pattern, back and forth, back and forth. Now let's go a little deeper into our space-time blanket before we move forward. This blanket that is wrapped around our sphere, this universe that is folded inside, doesn't it look like something, our reality, that we can see because it's lighter, it's not so dark, and it has shape? Now this reality inside, is it our dreams? Is it the same thing as we see outside? Our pictures, just without space and time, right? Because we didn't give it attention, we didn't give it intention, we didn't bring it into shape, we didn't shape it up. So it is inside and it is folded. My dreams, they look like this. They have pictures that are one on top of the other, on top of the other. They're out of order and they're never in time. It feels like I can travel from one place to the other in no time. So do you see how this universe can be our imagination? So what do we need to bring our dreams that are inside to realization? Can we become the creators of our own realities by setting our dreams, by setting our imagination and giving it direction, putting it into tension and shaping it into a sphere or onto a sphere, and therefore bringing our dreams to life? Well, before expanding even further, I would like to go within a little deeper. Let's go backwards to our materia prima, to our dreams that are inside before we set them into tension, before we stretch them to bring them to light, before we shape them. Remember where we started in the beginning with just a dot, an infinite dot. It was dark and it started to move, and it created tension, time, an arrow of time. But here I have my hands to stretch the fabric into tension, to set it into time. But what happens in the beginning, before we have hands? What sets our universe into tension? Is it a force that takes it from a state of being folded into a state of erection, a straight, stretched state? What is that force? Force that stretches our materia prima, our universe, and gives it time, tension. What force can do that? Well, I say it is the original life force. It is imagination that sets our dreams into tension. It is our imagination that shapes things into reality that we can see. That original life force, it's within each and every one of us, waiting to come out, waiting to be set into tension and to be realized in time.